How's it going? Today we're going to talk a little bit about 3M and how they went from nothing to big data. In 1995, a guy called DeSimone became the CEO of 3M and wanted to restructure it. So who is 3M, you might ask? Well, pretty sure you know them. They make this stuff, as well as about 50,000 other products. But in the business world, they're a multinational, multi-billion-dollar company that's one of the top earning companies in the world. They had over 50 product-driven divisions, and each of these divisions produced anything from sellotape, which I just showed you, what I think Americans call Scotch tape, to computer screens. The basic goal of 3M was to mass produce products that would improve the everyday safety of employees around the world. But before getting into how did Simone change the company in 95, let's go a little bit over some numbers quickly. They had over 70,000 employees, made over 50,000 products, and had 500,000 SKUs, which is a stock keeping unit. They had manufacturing operations in over 40 countries, they had headquarters in 60 countries, and they were distributing to every single country in the world. But there was a problem. Each division within 3M was autonomous. This meant that they could report how they wanted to, and there might not have been any data consistency. And, furthermore, data was only being shared once a month in individual and unique different reporting styles. Some might wonder why this is a problem though, but think about it. With over 50 divisions around the world, each reporting in a different manner, it put 3M to utter chaos. The company was very good at sharing innovations because they were very product driven, but when it came to customer relations, sharing that type of data, the company lacked. So what started happening was in 1995, 3M started moving some of their IT professionals out into the market world. Shortly after doing this, the company realized that they would need a GEDW. Whoa, a GEDW? Wondering what that is? A GEDW is simply just a global enterprise data warehouse. What this is, it's just a bunch of computers all in a warehouse sharing data, computing at vast amounts of volumes at high speeds, and it's sharing that information with other warehouses all over the world. But obviously, such a massive scale project was going to be expensive, costly, and would be a massive change to the company. So it wasn't going to be easy to sell this concept to the vice presidents of each division around the world. Hence, that's where this guy comes in. That is Al Mazzurli, a veteran information systems guy who worked to sell the idea from top down about the importance of the GEDW. Fortunately, Mazzurli was a 30-year veteran, had worked with the company for 30 years, so he knew what the people within the company were wanting, and he knew how 3M worked. Once Mazzurli had managed to get some buy-in with the vice presidents, he then went ahead and did some benchmarking. And what he did was he gathered some data, constructed a model, and then presented it to the vendors. Mazzurli had to make sure that the data that they were sharing could be handled by the new systems that they were trying to implement. So what they did was they handed it to the vendors, who then would go and test it on their current system. Now bear in mind, Mazzurli had set a budget of at most $2 million. At this point, the only company to win was NCR's Teradata. Once NCR had won the contract, Mazzurli went ahead and worked with them very closely, constructing models and collecting the requirements for their new systems. And they basically just followed the normal systems analysis process. After this, they went ahead and put everything together, and within a year, 3M had saved several $1 million by implementing the new system. Furthermore, what was happening was some of their reports were mismatched against the legacy systems, and when they reran the data, it turned out their new systems were outpacing the old systems, the legacy systems, and they were correct. In the end, 3M was left with quite a beefy system. They had over 10 terabytes in RAID data. They had several processors running at 500 megahertz per processor. They had about 8 or 9 running at about 800 megahertz per processor. And bear in mind, nowadays that might not seem like a lot, but back then that was huge. And with this new system, they were finally able to bring all the data to a central location. That meant that employees could just hop online and get the reports that they wanted within seconds instead of having to wait for the monthly reports to be shared by the company. Since then, 3M has managed to pump in about another $30 million into the system, which over about 12 years averaged out to be about $2.6 million a year. Thinking about that, that's pretty cheap in comparison to what the system brought them, which we'll get back to in a minute. Furthermore, the system is still the backbone of their software and their digital enterprise today. They have more than 5 major applications running on it, which is the base of their client relations models. And 3M feels pretty confident that this system will manage to keep up with the changes. Now, there are some things that they could have done a little better. For instance, in the 2000s, we started seeing systems from Intel, IBM, and Microsoft, systems such as the Hadoop from IBM, Azure Cloud Services from Microsoft, and very powerful AI data tools from Intel. And the benefits of some of these companies is that they're bigger, and while they might not have performed better than Teradata back then, but in the end, Teradata managed to bring Intel some pretty big benefits. The first of which was improved client relations. One of the things that would happen is clients would spend much less time on the phone with 3M because their employees could simply look things up online instead of having to pull out a big book with their entire inventory. Additionally, IT saved huge amounts of money by being able to incorporate several different data marts into one huge data mart which was shared across the company. 3M's profit margins increased, 3M's growth and profits improved, and furthermore, 3M had now bought themselves some room for automation and automated ordering and online processes like that. So in the end, what lessons could we take away from 3M's successes? Firstly, that a monolith such as 3M was able to move in an entirely new direction with how they were managing their data. This wasn't that easy for big companies back then, and it's getting much harder for big companies now. But 3M still gave them hope. 3M showed them that you could move in a new direction and still come out on top and improve your profit margins without excessive cost. Furthermore, big data brings big money. There's a reason every single major company is trying to move into the big data field. Not only does big data bring insight value to a company, but it also brings uniformity to their data. This allows for the ease of transfer of data from one place to another within such a big company at relative ease. And, as proved in the 3M case, improved customer relations with the ease of access of data. Benchmark first, build later. 3M was very clever in ensuring that the new systems could handle the loads of their data. This proved essential, and as we saw, it saved them millions of dollars. So if other companies follow this model, they could save themselves millions of dollars, if not billions. And finally, not all change is bad. 3M was able to implement a huge change and still come out on top while maintaining and improving their profit margins. This has been the Group 7 report on the 3M case study. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you think.